The blind spot that leads to regret. Munger's final warning. We all strive for a life free from the shackles of regret. We meticulously plan, tirelessly execute, and relentlessly pursue our goals, convinced that diligence alone will pave the path to prosperity and peace of mind. Yet, for a perplexing majority, the bitter taste of what if lingers, a haunting echo of opportunities missed, decisions flawed, and outcomes tragically misjudged. They often meticulously follow conventional wisdom, believing their methods sound, their efforts sufficient, but true fulfillment, genuine wealth, and profound contentment never fully materialize. Why this persistent, frustrating disconnect between earnest aspiration and the harsh, often painful, reality of a life lived with lingering regret? What if the most formidable barrier to your desired future is an external adversity, market volatility, or even a fundamental lack of talent? What if it resides far closer, an insidious, invisible force woven into the very fabric of your own mind, silently, relentlessly undermining your every concerted effort, day after relentless day, rendering even your best intentions futile? What if the greatest danger lies not in what you don't know, but in what you refuse to see? Charlie Munger, the quiet genius and formidable intellectual counterweight to Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway, was far more than a brilliant investor. He was a profound, almost surgical, observer of human psychology. And through his decades of astute, unflinching observation, he uncovered a brutal, yet profoundly liberating, truth. Most individuals fail to achieve significant, life-altering success and avoid the deep sting of regret, not primarily due to misfortune, or a fundamental lack of intelligence, or limited access to privileged information. No, they are caught in a complex, self-perpetuating web of deeply ingrained, often unconscious, self-defeating behaviors and fundamental mental errors. These are not grand, dramatic failures. They are silent sabotages, hidden in plain sight, ensuring a lifetime of financial mediocrity and frustrating struggle for the vast majority. Master your mind, master your wealth. This discourse is not about market secrets, elusive formulas, or get-rich-quick schemes. It is about confronting the fundamental flaws within your own cognitive architecture, the very operating system of your mind, that inherently prevent lasting prosperity and lead to a lifetime of regret. Understand this with absolute clarity. If you neglect to comprehend, acknowledge, and actively combat these insidious patterns, your financial trajectory is not merely uncertain. In Munger's stark, uncompromising terms, it is already predetermined. If you are ready to dismantle the barriers to your success, if you are prepared to master your mind and consequently, your wealth, then this channel is for you. Hit that like button right now and subscribe to the Munger Almanac. Activate the notification bell to be alerted about every new transformative truth we share. Seriously, it tells YouTube you're ready for the brutal truth, and it helps us share it with more individuals like you who crave genuine wisdom. Prepare yourself for Charlie Munger's unfiltered, unwavering, and utterly brutal truth about why the majority never truly gets rich and why regret becomes their constant companion. Problem: the insidious nature of your blind spots. Munger's pragmatic approach to wealth building was elegantly simple, yet profoundly challenging for many. It was predicated on avoiding colossal stupidity. He consistently asserted that the clearest, most reliable path to riches lay not in striving for brilliant insights, but in meticulously identifying and rigorously circumventing what not to do. He dedicated his life to rigorously cataloging deeply ingrained human behaviors, common cognitive pitfalls, and psychological biases that are fundamentally antithetical to accumulating and preserving genuine wealth. His philosophy was a masterclass in inverted thinking, focusing on eliminating the negatives to allow the positives to flourish. But what are these blind spots? They are not merely mistakes. They are fundamental errors in perception, deeply ingrained psychological tendencies that distort reality, leading us astray without our conscious awareness. They are the unseen cracks in our mental foundation, silently widening until the entire structure of our financial future collapses into regret. Let's dissect some of the most pervasive blind spots Munger relentlessly exposed. 1. The denial blind spot, the pain-avoiding illusion. When confronted with uncomfortable truths about their financial reality, declining investment performance, grim business prospects, or unsustainable spending, most individuals instinctively resort to denial. They desperately cling to comforting delusions. It will turn around eventually. This psychological denial, often coupled with irrational optimism, systematically blinds them to palpable risks. Munger identified this profound refusal to acknowledge and confront reality as a root cause of vast financial ruin. Whether stubbornly doubling down on a losing stock or ignoring red flags in a failing business, the mind's resistance to harsh truths ensures small problems relentlessly escalate into catastrophic disasters. Your unwillingness to face unpleasant facts is a direct, often irreversible, path to financial stagnation or collapse. Reality, unyielding, cares not for your hopes. This is a blind spot because the very mechanism designed to protect you from pain prevents you from seeing the truth. 2. The consistency blind spot, the chains of past decisions. Another insidious blind spot is our deeply ingrained need for consistency. Once we've made a decision, especially if it's public or hard-won, we feel an almost pathological need to stick with it, even when new evidence screams that we are wrong. This isn't about stubbornness. It's about avoiding cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding conflicting beliefs. Munger observed that people would rather continue down a losing path than admit they were wrong. They double down on bad investments, cling to failing strategies, or remain in toxic situations, all because admitting error is too painful. This blind spot ensures that small mistakes compound into colossal regrets, locking individuals into a trajectory of self-defeat. 3. The self-serving bias blind spot, the mirror of deception. We are all wired to see ourselves in the best possible light. This excessive self-regard tendency, as Munger called it, is a powerful blind spot. We attribute our successes to our brilliance and our failures to external circumstances or bad luck. This self-serving bias prevents us from truly learning from our mistakes, because if it's never our fault, there's nothing to change. It leads to overconfidence, underestimation of risks, and a perpetual cycle of repeating the same errors, all while convincing ourselves we are making progress. This is the ultimate blind spot, the inability to see your own flaws, ensuring a future filled with avoidable regret. Solution or revelation, Munger's antidote: seeing what others miss. Yet, Munger did not merely diagnose the problem with chilling accuracy. He diligently prescribed the most powerful, most actionable antidote. His life exemplified that systematically avoiding stupidity by consciously building mental defenses against these silent sabotages, you not only dramatically increase your chances of financial success, but you also cultivate a clearer, more rational, and ultimately happier existence. His framework for neutralizing these insidious sabotages is simple in principle, yet demands immense discipline and unwavering intellectual honesty to execute. It is immensely powerful precisely because it addresses the root causes of financial failure and regret.
To do better. What gummed up Skinner's reputation is that he developed a case of what I always call man with a hammer syndrome. To the man with a hammer, every problem tends to look pretty much like a nail. And Skinner had one of the more extreme cases in the history of academia, and this syndrome doesn't exempt bright people. It's just a man with a hammer, and Skinner is an extreme example of that. And later, as I go down my list, let's go back and try and figure out why people like Skinner get man with a hammer syndrome. Incidentally, when I was at the Harvard Law School, there was a professor, naturally at Yale, who was derisively discussed at Harvard, and they used to say, "Poor old Blanchard, he thinks declaratory judgments will cure cancer." And that's the way Skinner got. And not only that, he got he was literary. And he scorned opponents who had any different way of thinking or thought anything else was important. This is not a way to make a lasting reputation if the other people turn out to also be doing something important. My second factor is simple psychological denial. This first really hit me between the eyes when a friend of our family had a super athlete, super student son who flew off a carrier in the North Atlantic and never came back. And his mother, who was a very sane woman, just never believed he was dead. And of course, if you turn on the television, you find the mothers of the most obvious criminals that man could ever diagnose, and they all think their sons are innocent. Simple psychological denial. The reality is too painful to bear, so you just distort it until it's bearable. We all do that to some extent, and it's a common psychological misjudgment that causes terrible problems. Third, incentive-caused bias, both in one's own mind and that of one's trusted advisor, where it creates what economists call agency costs. Here, my early experience was a doctor who sent bushel baskets full of normal gallbladders down to the pathology lab in a leading hospital in Lincoln, Nebraska. And with that quality control for which community hospitals are famous, about 5 years after he should have been removed from the staff, he was. And one of the old doctors who participated in the removal was also a family friend. And I asked him, I said, tell me, did he think here's a way for me to exercise my talents? This guy was very skilled, technically, and make a high living by doing a few maimings and murders every year, along with some frauds? He said, hell no, Charlie. He thought that the gallbladder was the source of all medical evil, and that if you really loved your patients, you couldn't get that organ out rapidly enough. Now that's an extreme case, but in lesser strength, it's present in every profession and in every human being, and it causes perfectly terrible behavior. If you take sales presentations of brokers of commercial real estate and businesses, I'm 70 years old. I've never seen one I thought was even within hailing distance of objective truth. And
as Munner so eloquently put it, the greatest battle is often within. The antidote to these blind spots, this insidious self-deception, lies in a conscious, relentless effort to see reality as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. This is where Munner's wisdom truly shines. 1. Cultivate radical self-awareness and practice inversion, the brutal honesty. The first, most critical step to disarm internal saboteurs is brutal self-honesty. Ruthlessly scrutinize your own mind for biases. Ask, am I denying an uncomfortable truth? Am I clinging to a past decision that's clearly wrong? Am I taking too much credit for luck or blaming others for my own errors? Apply Munner's inversion. What am I doing that prevents me from getting rich? What actions or beliefs, if continued, will guarantee regret? This radical self-awareness is the foundation. 2. Build a multidisciplinary mental latticework, the shield against ignorance. Munger, a true polymath, insisted that genuine wisdom, and thus effective wealth building, stems from understanding fundamental big ideas from all major academic disciplines: psychology, history, physics, biology, mathematics, and economics. This interconnected collection of concepts is your multidisciplinary mental latticework. By actively, deliberately, and consistently learning, you construct a robust, interconnected mental toolkit. This latticework empowers you to view any problem from multiple, complementary angles, helping you identify hidden biases, spot interconnected risks, or vast opportunities that narrow thinking would obscure. It acts as an impenetrable shield against the blind spots that inevitably destroy wealth and lead to regret. Action. Practical steps to dismantle your blind spots. Understanding these blind spots is merely the first step. The true power lies in action. In systematically implementing Munner's antidotes to rewire your cognitive architecture and forge a path free from regret. 1. The flight data recorder method. Learn from every error. Munner was an avid, almost insatiable student of human folly. He meticulously studied history and biographies, not just for inspiration, but primarily to identify recurring patterns of error and failure. He also rigorously analyzed his own past errors, both commissions and omissions, ensuring he never repeated stupid mistakes. Apply this flight data recorder method to your own life. When a decision goes wrong, don't deny it. Instead, meticulously analyze. What was my thinking? What bias was at play? What information did I ignore? By deeply understanding how others and you yourself inadvertently sabotage their success, you can proactively build mental fences, intellectual barriers, and behavioral safeguards around those exact pitfalls. This systematic study of failure, rather than just a superficial focus on success, is a cornerstone of Munger's genius and a powerful antidote to self-sabotage and future regret. 2. The devil's advocate principle. Seek disconfirming evidence. Our consistency bias and self-serving bias make us naturally seek out information that confirms what we already believe. To combat this blind spot, actively practice the devil's advocate principle. Force yourself to articulate the strongest arguments against your own cherished beliefs or investment decisions. Seek out intelligent people who disagree with you and listen to them with an open mind. This isn't about being indecisive. It's about rigorously testing your mental models. As Munger would imply, if you can't state the arguments against your position as well as the opposing side, you likely don't understand the issue well enough, and you're operating with a dangerous blind spot. 3. The circle of competence discipline. Know your limits. A significant source of regret comes from operating outside our circle of competence, attempting to make decisions in areas where we lack deep understanding. This is where the self-serving bias often blinds us, making us believe we are smarter than we are. Munger and Buffett famously stuck to what they knew. To avoid this blind spot, rigorously define your circle of competence. Understand what you truly know and what you don't. When faced with decisions outside this circle, either expand your knowledge diligently or, more often, simply say no. This disciplined humility is a powerful defense against overconfidence and the regret that follows ill-informed decisions. 4. Embrace profound patience and strategic inaction. The power of doing nothing. Munger's extraordinary success was built on profound patience, waiting for truly intelligent opportunities and doing nothing when none appeared. Resist the do-something impulse. The action bias is a powerful blind spot, making us feel productive even when our actions are destructive. True wealth building demands long periods of disciplined waiting, allowing good ideas and solid investments to mature over decades. This inaction, when judiciously applied, is a powerful accelerant of wealth and a shield against the regret of impulsive decisions. Munger's legacy: a life without regret. Charlie Munger's truth is undeniably brutal, but in its unflinching honesty lies its profound, liberating power. Your financial destiny and your freedom from regret are not solely dictated by external forces, but fundamentally by the silent blind spots within your own mind. By understanding, diligently recognizing, and meticulously avoiding these common human failings, these predictable patterns of self-defeat, you unlock a path to wealth, wisdom, and genuine peace of mind that remains perpetually closed to the vast majority. The choice, resolute, profound, and ultimately yours, is clear. Will you continue to be an unwitting victim of your own blind spots, forever wondering why true wealth and peace of mind perpetually elude you? Or will you internalize Munger's brutal wisdom, courageously apply his timeless principles, and consciously forge the mental habits, the latticework of sound thinking, that lead inexorably to lasting financial freedom and profound rationality, a life lived with minimal regret? If you are ready to dismantle the barriers to your success, if you are prepared to master your mind and consequently, your wealth, then subscribe to the Munger Almanac now. Click the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to be alerted about every new transformative truth we share. And in the comments below, share with us, which of these blind spots do you most powerfully recognize in yourself, and what concrete steps will you commit to taking, starting today, to overcome it and build your wealth the Munger way? Your journey to true wealth and profound wisdom begins now, with brutal self-honesty and an unwavering commitment to truth.